Alright beauties, we are on to your favorite video that I do, the palette declutter. This is where I keep all of my palettes. I will link these down below. They're quite affordable. They are, I guess, like IKEA dupes, if you will. But I ain't paying IKEA prices, y'all. Anyways, I think I'm going to start because this is going to be a marathon. This is probably going to be filmed in a couple of days. So I think I'm going to start with mini palettes and kind of work my way down from there. And then when I get to like collections, meaning like all of my NOMAD, all of my Gourmand Girls, whatever, I'll kind of do those together. So yeah, sit back and relax, enjoy the show. Y'all know what I say because this is going to be a longer video. Grab your tacos and tequila, your milk and cookies, your Doritos, Cheetos, Fritos, whatever's your pleasure. Sit back and relax and enjoy the show. I hope you'll stick around and subscribe and give the video a thumbs up and join my beauty family. Let's dive in. All right, beauties. I decided to make it a little, hopefully, easier on myself. And this is where we are starting. And just for reference, this is a full-size bed. So yeah, definitely need to declutter. Again, I know I've reiterated this a million times during my declutters. I am aiming for a minimalist collection. I want to love what I have, see what I have, and be able to use up products. So yeah, here is our collection. This is what we were starting with. I think I'll just start right here at the Colourpop palettes. For sure, going to hold on to the Sage of the Day. One of my favorites. Y'all know I am a lover of all things green. I love how compact these are. I love that even in this 9-pan palette, it goes from light to dark. I love the variation in the mattes to the shimmer formula. And there are some pretty special shades in here. Hopefully you can see that beautiful shift. Yeah, I love this palette. Definitely holding on to that one. And I'm not going to swatch every single thing, but I feel like in here there's a couple of just super special shades. I think I'm going to go ahead and pull my Star Wars Mandalorian palette as well because I know that's also going to be a keep. Love the packaging. And again here, first of all, it's incredibly complementary to the Sage the Day, but it also goes from light to dark. There's a really nice level of depth in here. I really, really love this shade right here. It's like champagne, but like white, but has a goldy, neutrally undertone to it. It's so special and so beautiful, and then it kind of just like disappears on the skin, meaning it doesn't have a whole lot of opacity. It just looks like a sparkling sky or something. Y'all, it's beautiful. Definitely holding on to this, and I mean, y'all know I'm a lover of greens. They're my all-time favorite eyeshadow colors. Next up is the Wild Child palette, another one that I am going to be holding on to. This was one that, for me at that time of their release, Colourpop was missing the mark a lot in the terms of something being really dark, deep, having a little bit of depth and richness to it, and kind of being a little bit more inclusive in that way. This palette is stunning. I love this beautiful copper shade right here. Absolutely stunning. It has a beautiful, nice little fleck to it. It's stunning. I could do without the glitters. I don't use them. I don't like them in palettes. But because this is so rich and so intense, I love it so much. Keeping. Next up, we will go into the Honey. I kicked myself in the ass because I purchased this when it launched, got rid of it, and then I instantly regretted it and then could not find it. And my beautiful friend Renee sent this to me, y'all, when she did her palette declutter. So thank you so much, my love. I love this. Yellows and warms and kind of reds and oranges are my other favorite eyeshadow colors. So I love this. I think it's incredibly beautiful. Again, a little bit of light, a little bit of depth. I like the variation to the shimmers and the matte formulas in here. I like that it's one cohesive look, meaning you can go in here and no matter what you use, y'all, it's gonna look good. I'm just gonna use my thumb for this. I hate pressed glitters. I just do not like them. They're messy and stuff like that. I just don't like those, but I'm gonna keep that because I do love that. And also it just brings special memories to me because a really good friend sent it to me and she didn't have to do that. So love that. I would normally just like take all this out and edit all this out, me wiping my hands. I'm not gonna do that today. We are sitting down, we're chatting, we're having a good time, and you guys asked for a marathon, and guess what, y'all? We are in it to win it. We are in it together. All right, let me dry my hand off slightly. Next up, I'm gonna go into the Colourpop Blow and Smoke. I think a variation of this is still available, but it's called something else perhaps now. And I love this. I do pull this out every single holiday season and sometimes for date nights, just because it's beautiful. It is quite literally the quintessential smoky eyeshadow palette. Again, I love the fact that they go from light to dark. That's very important to me in an eyeshadow palette, and I like to have something for my inner corner. I love to build up depth. I love this beautiful like sequin shade right here. And I have found, I do see a lot of people that don't like this formula. First of all, it makes it easier to blend having the mica in there, but if you place it down and press these into place, as opposed to trying to just kind of like blend them out, they work so much better, and it just looks like a beautiful night sky. Stunning. Colourpop, I feel like for a very long time, I was not a fan of their eyeshadows, and I do still kind of hold true to part of that for me, is that the long wearability is not always there. But most of these that I do still have, I feel like don't miss the mark, and I feel like they're great. Next up is the Colourpop Wine and Only. Don't know why I'm saying Colourpop. They're all Colourpop right now. And I loved that they did this beautiful line of just everything monochromatic. This one, because I know I have these shades in other palettes, I think I can finally go ahead and declutter this. But again, it's kind of a one and done type of thing. You can literally go in with any variation of any of the shades in here and it's going to work. I love how beginner friendly that is. But I feel like I can go ahead and let go of this one. Next up is the Raw Beauty Christie Colourpop collab, the At Forest site. I did actually already declutter this one time, and then I kept it when I purchased the Lunar Beauty kind of variation of this, but I do not need this. I'm not going to keep it. It's just not something that I've reached to a whole lot. Nothing wrong with it. I do like the color story, but here for me, everything is kind of a little bit more jewel toned, or everything is a little bit more kind of tonally, it's all the same. Still pretty, but I don't get any use out of it anymore, so I can declutter. Another one that Renee sent me when she did send me the Honey is this one right here. This is Over the Cocoon. And this kind of has the same shade variation as the Wine and Only. I feel like this one's a little bit easier, a little bit more compact, and I can kind of get the same exact, you know, vibes or whatever. So I'm going to hold on to this versus that one. Next up is a favorite of mine. I travel with this consistently. It is the Clay It Cool palette. And I love this. This is very much like Patrick Ta, Major Dimension type vibes. I like that it goes very light, so we can go from fair skin all the way to deep skin. And I like the simplicity of this and the beginner friendliness of this. Is that a word? Probably not. The beginner friendly nature of this. There you go. Because literally you can go in and do the cream shades and then pop on the lights, the mediums, the deeps, the darks. And you literally pop this in the crease and then pop, you know, whatever color you want on your lid. So love this. Again, I like something with a little bit of depth. It's super compact. I love this for travel, so keeping that. Next up is the My Little Pony collab. And I think I'm also gonna hold on to this. Not something I reach for all the time. And to me personally, it's a little bit more like springy. And of course, we're heading into the fall months. But again, I like the variation between mattes and shimmers. And I feel like I like that it goes from light and then there's a little bit of depth. I just think it's cute. And it's also, you know, nostalgic vibes. Love keeping that. I think that's it for Colourpop. Yes. Next up is this Juvia's Place, the Nubian Roll. I have said a million times, I don't really need this. I think I'm going to go ahead and declutter it because I don't really use the glitters. And this is stunning. Like, if you are into glitters, holy Toledo, y'all. That is gorgeous. But I just don't reach for it. And I know I'm not going to reach for it. I think I've used it maybe one time. And again, I want to keep things around that I'm going to use consistently, so that can also go. Next up is the Colored Rain, the Queen Bee palette. And I have not even used this yet, I don't think. I think I just swatched this shade right here. I'll swatch it again for you guys. And although this is stunning, there's a very similar vibe to this in a couple of my indie palettes. There's also something quite similar in the Sage of the Day. I feel like I can finally go ahead and let this go, especially since, hello, I have not even used it yet. Packaging and stuff though, so pretty, but it can go. New wipe. Also, as we're going through too, I would love to just kind of, I'm going to be in the comments with this video for the first couple of hours, like all up in the comments, you know what I'm saying, y'all? So I really want us to like talk and let's chat. I want you to kind of go through and tell me what you love or don't love. Was I making a mistake on certain things? Y'all let me know. Next up is this cute little mini palette from Chica Beauty. This is a little indie brand as well. And this is the Fiesta palette. As cute as I think this is, I'm kind of only keeping it because of this shade right here, because this shade is special. It's stunning. It's like a gunmetal gray gearing toward black, but it's got a lot of like blue and silver sparkle in it. It is absolutely stunning. Pretty much though, if I take that out, it's literally the Clay It Cool palette. You know what I mean? So I have this 10 times over, and I don't need to have 10 of the same type of palette. So that little bad boy can go. Next up, I'll go into the Item Beauty. This is the In My Element palette. They are no longer a brand. I got this in my BoxyCharm or my IPSY, and I fell in love. The formulation here, stunning. I did drop it, so one of them cracked. My bad on that. But I was blown away. I was blown away by their shimmer formula. I was blown away at the wear time that I got with these. Their mattes are intense. Like, hello, you guys. Intensely richly pigmented, but everything blends so beautifully. Again, though, I'd be keeping it mostly for like these kind of more special like shimmer shades, and I don't need to hold on. Oh, see, I don't know, you guys, it's so damn pretty. Ugh. I'm gonna have to hold on to it. There's just something, like, there's something special about it. I was gonna get rid of it, but I'm not. I'll keep it still. And I might, you know, come back and change my mind on a few of these palettes throughout this declutter. Next up is a newer one to my collection. This is the, I already forgot, and it doesn't say, oh, the Rose to Fame from Morphe. This is stunning, you guys. This also has a couple really beautiful and like special impactful shades. I think because the shades in here that I really gravitate toward are also in that Item Beauty, I feel like I can go ahead and declutter it, but beautiful, you guys. This was my first Morphe purchase in several years, and I was blown away. It is a stunning palette. If you see it, if you can get it on sale, whatever, I say get it. All right, wipe my hands again. Alrighty. I should have also brought paper towels because now I'm also getting more wet from that. Next up, I have a couple of the Huda Beauty palettes. This is the gold and the nude in the medium variation. Yeah, I probably need a towel. I'm getting a little bit oily when I do that. I think I'm gonna look at both of these together, so I am sorry if the mirror blinds you for just a second. I do apologize for that. I don't feel like I need both of these. I feel like I have these in like the Clay It Cool, the other Colourpop palette, this one right here. And it's more kind of like those berry-ish type tones. So I think I can declutter the nude medium. And I think I'm gonna hold on to this right here. And I'm gonna hold on to this one right here. Again, there's quite a few really beautiful special shades in here. And I do like, even though it's mostly shimmers, which I don't often go towards unless it's like an all shimmer palette, it's beautiful. It's a really beautiful palette. So I'm gonna hold on to that as well. Next up is the NBA Cosmetics. I actually forgot what this was called, not gonna lie to y'all. But it was like singles, but meant to be in like a palette. Definitely holding on to this. Y'all know I love my indie brands. I love these beautiful duo and multi-chrome shades, sparkly, shifty, all the goodness types of shades. I think these are exquisite, and they do sales all the time. I mean, hello, you guys. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And if you've been here with me for a while, then you know that kind of my go-to is to layer up 3 shimmers as an eyeshadow look and just put, you know, lightest to darkest and call it a day. I use my fingers, I press them in place, and it is beautiful and impactful, and I love it. We'll go to my other NBA Cosmetics palette. This is the Shake Your Ghoul thing. Love the name of that, by the way. So cute, like the packaging. And I did also get this one on sale. I feel like this needs to be a maybe, even though the formula is phenomenal and the level of pigmentation, like that black, you guys, it's black. Like these are incredibly impactful, incredibly pigmented. I don't know, that duochrome is kind of calling my name, or that multi-chrome. I think I'll put this in the maybe pile just for now, only because it's just so dark. So I probably will not use it kind of on its own unless that's what I was going for. I'm gonna put this over here for now and call it a maybe, and then I'll decide. This is the Nabla Miami Lights Glitter Palette Quad, and I have not used this either. Again, I'm not like a glitter person, but I did want to try these out and test these out. I'd heard some great things about them, and they're gorgeous. They're absolutely beautiful. Look, I love glitter in the sense of how it looks, and I love glitter when it's kind of pressed into something and it doesn't get all over my face. I think I can declutter because I'm a little nervous about this. Next up, I have this Il Makiage Quad and then a larger palette from them. This is the Color Boss Quad, the Real Deal. And I have spoken to their quality of their packaging. This is gonna blind you for a second, I apologize. Their packaging is incredibly beautiful. Really weighty, very luxe. Like you can tell this is a luxury type brand. I feel like I have this a million times over, even though if you do have more mature lids, you get creasing, you get, you know, any type of like buildup where things kind of settle not in the best of ways. This is really beautiful. It's kind of a more kind of classic traditional style eyeshadow, but it's really soft and very creamy and buttery. So for application, especially for mature skin, mature lids, I find that it is exquisite. I don't need it, we'll pass that along. The full palette is the Color Boss in Treat Yourself. And there's a loud truck going by and a train. I'm sorry, you guys. This one I will hold on to. You can see here, this is definitely a little bit more richly pigmented than the previous one was, so I'm gonna hold on to that one. Let me pause, let me grab some more palettes. I'll BRB. All right, that last declutter pile, I kept 14 and decluttered 9. Next up, of course, some indie brands. I have a lot of Gourmand Girls. Please keep in mind, most of the Gourmand Girls has been gifted. I have an affiliated code, RIRI10 for 10% off. We have some What's Up Beauty, some Made by Mitchell. We have all kinds of stuff. So let me start here with Gourmand Girls. I am not going to go into complete detail with these or go in depth with these because I'm going to be doing a ranking video in October. I will have 31 days of palettes in October, so stay tuned for that. And what palettes would you guys like to see? So first up is the Galactic Gourmand. And this is a really pretty, been beat to death, all shimmer palette. I honestly think I'm going to go ahead and gift this to my niece, but I'm going to wait, obviously, for my palette ranking for them. Just because it's getting a little bit older, and I've since kind of gotten some more all shimmer palettes, and I think she'd love this. But these are so incredibly beautiful. You can see I have almost hit pan on a couple of these. And again, I love indie brands. I love sparkly, shifty, shimmery, yummy goodness. So keeping that for now, but I do think I'm gonna go ahead and declutter it and give it to my niece. Next up is another one that's kind of very much along that same line, the Ethereal palette. And again, it's been used and abused. I did drop this. That's something that it makes me sad about specifically these types of shades. They tend to break a little bit easier, which kind of makes me sad. But again, there's a beautiful variation here. And I like that, yes, I love those beautiful kind of translucent or very light, bright types of shimmers, but I really like that there's some depth here with her shimmers in this particular palette. I mean, they're beautiful, but yeah, I have to be very careful. If I drop anything like this, it's going to break. So keeping that as well. Basically, I'm keeping everything. I'm just gonna let you guys know that, but I most likely will be giving these to my niece. Everything else I'm keeping, keeping. Next up is the Secret Grove palette. Also one that I really, really love. And of course, I love, you know, my warm tones, reds and yellows and stuff like that. And then I love the grungy greens. I like that there's an inner corner shade here. This shade right here, you guys, again, I have to be really careful with those types of shades. It has this beautiful like flakiness to it. And it's like pewter bronzy, but then this beautiful kind of like fiery peachy shift to it. It is stunning, you guys. It's a super special shade. Keeping. Next up is the collab palette that I did with Gourmand Girls. I do have a backup that I will never open. And this one also has been beat to death, so I may also just kind of gift this to my niece since I have a backup for it. But we went a little bit more icy, cool tone, but then we added some jewel tones in here. There's some neutrality in here. I think we did such a good job with it. So obviously keeping. Next up is another one along the lines of the other two shimmer formula shimmer palettes. This is the Radioactive. And now that I'm looking at this, I think I can kind of confirm that I'll go ahead and give those to my niece because I feel like I'm getting the same things in here. Again, beautiful, quite impactful. Love the variation in the shades and stuff in here. The shifts, the flips, the sparkle, y'all know. I love it all. I love it all. I want it all. Give it all to me. Okay. Next up is the Peach Perfect palette. This one and the Gourmandises are the most current ones from Gourmand Girls. And oh my gosh, when she first sneak peeked this, I was like, this is a hell yes. This is me in a palette. I love grunge. I like my warm neutrals. Of course, I love my greens. And then the metallic shades that are in here. Like everything about this palette to me is just exquisite. Like, I mean, like the proof is in a pudding. You know what I'm saying, y'all? And I like how I said I wasn't going to be very long-winded with this. But yeah, stunning. I love. Going to definitely hold on to that as well. Again, I'm holding on to all of these except for the two I'm donating to my niece. So none of these are getting decluttered. Next up is the latest one. This is the Gourmandises palette. This one I love, and I love the variation here. I personally don't understand the silver shade. That's me personally. Even though I don't really reach for more like pastel-y type tones or more like bluey purples, I do like this and I do want to keep it in my collection for like the springy months and stuff like that. And then these right here are all pretty much my favorite palettes. And the collection from like these, first of all, I love the packaging. I like the slim, sleek packaging and stuff like that. Love the shapes, love the artworks. And I want to say that all of these, I'm almost positive, yes, are collaborations with Doodles by the Bunny. And then the Nueva Vida is with Steph's Beauty Stash. Guess I'll go ahead and dive in here first. Again, love the packaging. And I love this. Again, it's kind of veering in the way that the Gourmandises is, where I don't always reach for like pinkies, purplies, and stuff like that, even though, like I said, y'all, purple and brown eyes, y'all. It is a match made in makeup heaven. But I love the tonal variation here. I do like that even though it's a little bit deeper, there's some depth here. I love the juxtaposition there of having that and then these beautiful, like fiery, true neons that actually stay in place. And they are pigmented and stuff like that. They wear well. And then I love these types of shades right here, that beautiful kind of multi-chrome shift. I think she does a phenomenal job with packaging, designs, layouts, color stories, all of it. Like, I love Gourmand Girls. Next up is the Spooked palette. And this is another one that is a favorite. And these kind of all correspond together and or complement each other beautifully. Again, light to dark, little bit of neutrality here. I love, especially going into like fall and winter months or spooky season. Yes, please. It's just perfect. I love this palette, so obviously keeping that as well. Next up is the Night Shade palette. It kind of goes along that same line, but this one offers a little bit more, I call it kind of more girly, if you will, a little bit more leaning purple here. And then there, again, are some really beautiful special shades in these palettes. Her formula, you guys, whatever she's done in the last few years, keep doing it, please. It's stunning, so definitely holding on to that as well. Next up, we have Silent Night. And I love that this was a kind of wintry, holiday-esque type of palette, but it didn't scream that, if you will. Like, it definitely screams like wintertime. And it evokes, for me, just cool, breezy, cold, snowy winter nights, even though we don't get snow, and that kind of makes me sad. And then, again, there's some really, really beautiful special shades in here. The pigmentation's great. I, of course, love having that inner corner or the brow bone, you know, highlighter shades or like shimmer shades being super bright. I love having a little bit of neutrality here for like lighter tones and darker skin tones. And I love something to help blend things out. It's just great. Like, I'm sorry. They're that damn good, y'all. And then last up from Gourmand Girls is the Haunted palette. And this kind of is more reminiscent and kind of, to me, in my opinion, more along the lines of a complementary palette to Nightshade, where it's a little bit more like pinky and purple, but I love, love, love the fact that there's so many different green tones in here, and it's definitely leaning more grunge. Like, this to me is one of the most special greens I have in my collection. There's something, it's just dirty. You know what I mean? It's like dirty and grungy and just, I don't know, I love it. And this beautiful shade right here too, like holy freaking crap, you guys. I don't know, I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan, as you guys can probably very clearly tell. Let me wipe my hands and we'll move on. All right, moving along, my beautiful friend Susan sent me this palette. This is from Saints, Angels, Sinners. I do not know a whole lot about this brand, but I really love that she thought of me, first of all, and these are absolutely stunning. There are some in here that are a little bit more, I guess, kind of thick and a little bit more textured, and then there's some that literally, they're like glass. I'm not flipping y'all off, sorry guys, that are literally like glass. This is a really, really stunning formula, and I like these shades, so I'm gonna hold on to this one. Next up is the What's Up Beauty Dragon Eye palette, and I love the packaging. It is absolutely stunning. I love it. I also like that this is a little bit more small and compact, perfect for travel. I do like the variation here of the mattes to the shimmer formula, and there are some also really, really beautiful shades in this palette as well. It's so beautiful, long wearing on the lids, easy to work with, easy to blend, so holding on to that one as well. Next up, we have the Made by Mitchell, the Swirl palette. I think I can go ahead and declutter this. Pretty much I have these shades 18,000 times over other than this blue, and that's not honestly a shade I reach for very often, so it can go. Next up is the Wicked Widow Beauty Graveyard Smash palette. Another one that I think is super, super beautiful. However, as beautiful as I think it is, I'm more, obviously we've discussed this already, I like more greens, grungy, those really beautiful kind of warm, rich, earthy, like mustard tones and oranges and stuff like that. So solely for that reason, I am going to go ahead and declutter it, but they are a beautiful brand. I think this worked and performed phenomenally. You guys, I want to keep things that I'm going to know, love, use up, and appreciate, so I'm going to go ahead and declutter that. Next up, I have a few from Fantasy Cosmetica. This one is the Druid palette. This is one of my all-time favorite palettes. Hopefully you can tell that. This is another one that it's quintessentially me. It's got those beautiful kind of rich, warm, earthy tones. It's got a little bit of like mossy dirtiness to it, a little bit of grunge. They are really, really smooth. This is a beautiful like buttery formula for the mattes. These shimmers, I think, also are just phenomenal. I think that they do a great job, you guys. I also like the compact size here, so holding on to that one as well. All right, next up is the Rogue palette from Fantasy Cosmetica. I am going to go ahead and declutter this one, kind of along the same lines as like the Graveyard one. I just don't often reach for more like jewel tones or like blues and purples. But I will say like, oh, these are so pretty, you guys, but I know that I have these in other palettes and I don't want to hold on to a palette literally for like one shade, so that one can also go. Next up is a couple of palettes from Ladybug Glow. This is the actual namesake, Ladybug Glow palette. And I cannot remember if I purchased this one and she sent me this one, or if I purchased this one when it launched and she sent me this one. So just assume one was gifted, one was not. No affiliation, no codes, no nothing like that. This one I really, really love. This kind of does go along the same lines as some of the other ones where I've kind of spoken to. I don't oftentimes use shades like these. However, y'all, her black is like one of the most deep, dark, pitch black shades I've ever used. And then there's just something magical about these shades right here. They are incredibly smooth. The shift in them is beautiful, very, very apparent. So I am going to hold on to this. And then we have the Murky Waters palette. I have to be careful here because I also had a softer shadow. I think I'm also going to see if my niece would like to have this. And I also do have some of these same exact shades or like a variation of these shades in some of my other palettes. I'm probably just going to clean this out and empty this and then gift this to her as well. So I'm going to set that to the side. Let me figure out how many I'm keeping from this pile and I'll grab another pile. I'll BRB, y'all. All right, next up, of course, on to more indie brands. First, I have the Lunar Beauty and Lorelei Los Angeles, the Full Fantasy Color Palette. I love, 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 love Lunar Beauty's packaging. Like, their packaging is phenomenal. I love this palette. It is incredible. The formulation here is stunning. I love all the different neutral tones for every skin tone. Got some of those mossy shades that I really like. It offers some depth. There are some really beautiful special shades in here as well. The formulation here is stunning. I really, really love this palette. So definitely holding on to that one. Next up, also from Lunar Beauty, is the Moon Shroom palette. Earlier, when I was speaking in terms of the Colourpop Raw Beauty Christie and saying that I kind of kept that for comparative purposes, it was to compare it to this palette. This was their newer launch for the year. And as you can see, y'all, I never even used it, never even swatched it, never even took the plastic cover off. And honestly, I don't know why the hell I got it. These I know are gonna be great. They're gonna be beautiful because the other ones are in the other palettes. I again like those mossy shades, grungy shades, but it also has a lot of the shades that I don't really gravitate toward, those more jewel tones. So even though I never even tried it, y'all, I have not touched it since I bought it, and I got it when it released. So I know if I have not messed with it by now, I'm not going to, so it can go. Next up, I have quite a few from Rebel Rouge Labs. They're another really beautiful indie brand. I have a non-affiliated code, RIRI10, for 10% off, and I purchased all of these. And first up is the As the World Falls Down palette. I love that she has this beautiful, kind of very different, grungy, just kind of a cool take on things. Like when she does a palette, she does it right. The layouts, the color stories, the shade names. I feel like I've kept plenty that are in this kind of color family spectrum, so I'm going to declutter. Next up is the Creatures of Forever. She also creates like playlists and stuff to go along with her things, so I love that as well. This is another one. There are some really beautiful special shades in here, but for me, this would be more of a companion type palette, kind of along the lines of some of the others that I showed you guys, where there's just deep, dark depth and kind of nothing to really go with from that, which these pair together, that can be in the inner corner. You can pair these together with that. You can pair these, not that it's not cohesive in that nature, it's just, aside from this one having some lightness to it and being the like inner corner that I like, there's nothing really for me to blend anything out with, so I'm literally working with just a dark color story. Still beautiful, some really beautiful special shades. Her formula and stuff like that is exquisite. It's beautiful, but I do not need it. I'm going to declutter. Next up is the Come Undone, the Sweater Weather palette. I also want to note too, I love this. I love when a palette is just in a sleeve versus a box that I kind of have a hard time messing with and manipulating, especially for those of us that have dexterity issues. I just want to shout that out. I love that from any brand that does it. But again, I love this color story. This one I think I am going to hold on to solely because it gives me a little bit of warmth. There's some light and some dark. I like the variation here. I like that there's a little bit of neutrality in here. And again, some really, really unique and special, beautiful shades in here. So I will hold on to this one. Also noting too, this is like my favorite palette from them. This, the Howlin' For You palette, used to be, and I still love it, but this used to be my favorite palette from Rebel Rouge Labs. But I think it's time to let her go. I've always stated since very first getting this that I just do not like glitters like this. They go everywhere, and I have very sensitive eyes, very reactive, allergy-stricken eyes, so I don't like those in a palette. And this was something that for me, I love, again, those warm tones, grungy green and stuff like that, and then of course, purples and brown eyes are just magic. But I don't reach for it all the time now, and I've had it for quite a while, so I'm going to declutter. Next up, I have an Il Maquillage palette. I've kind of, talked to like their quality and stuff like this. Y'all look, you could hurt a hoe. You know what I'm saying? This was a collaboration they did with Kathleen Lights. And I will note too, I kind of shit on this palette a little bit during my demo and when I first tried it. And not in the terms of like, I never said it was a bad palette. It's not, it's great. But I did not know at that time that it was worth the $75 price point, you guys. But having a little bit more experience with Il Maquillage and my makeup preferences kind of changing since then, I love this palette. And these particular shades right here, like the mattes also, like I said, if you have especially mature skin or mature lids, I feel like they work great. But there's something just beautiful and ethereal, the way that the shimmer formula blends out and stuff like that. It's stunning. I love this palette, so I'm gonna retract half of what I said. $75 is pricey, but I do like the packaging. It's nice and heavy, it's weighted, and the formula is really, really beautiful on my lids. So keeping that. Next up, I have quite a few palettes from Oden's Eye. I do not have any kind of affiliation or anything like that. Bought these all myself. This is the Sea Talk palette. It was in collaboration with Lauren May, one of my favorite YouTubers. And I really, really like this. I'm on the fence though, because I use these a lot. I like this, and then of course, you know, I love a greeny chartreusey shade, but I don't really reach for these in here. So I feel like I'm gonna keep this open, kind of see what else I have, and then determine whether or not I'm going to declutter this one. I kind of got it just to kind of be supportive of her and the collaboration. So let me move that out of the way for now. Next up is the Giant Wolves palette in collaboration with Annette's Makeup Corner. And I've used this one so much. This one I really like, and honestly, now that I'm looking at this and kind of seeing some blues and stuff in here, I feel like I'm still gonna look, because I do like the aquamarine shade and that chartreusey shade, but I feel like this is one that I've reached for a little bit more. Like you can even see pan in a couple of these, or I'm getting to pan and I'm getting in getting a little bit of a dent. I really like their formula. It's not my all-time favorite. I do feel like sometimes the mattes can kind of like blend away a little bit, but I do feel like they're long-lasting, and I love the color stories. I like that they're different. I mean, even the pan sizes and stuff like that. I like that they're different. I like that they kind of do just kind of cool, gearing a little bit more different, weird, grungy, if you will. So I'm holding on to that one for now. Next up is the Earthwood palette. This is with the Fancy Face, and I also love her as a creator. Love the packaging, you guys. And, whoa, I think I just got my answer. Again, this is not chartreusey, but it does have that kind of aquamarine shade that I also really love in here. This one officially, now it can go. And again, nothing wrong with it, you guys. I'm just trying to keep things around that I know I'm gonna get some good use out of. Like this one right here has a little bit of neutrality, a little bit of lightness here. It also goes dark, and I just feel like I would gravitate towards this more. And this shade right here is one of my all-time favorite shades, not just from Oden's Eye, but just period. This is beautiful, fiery, like peachy orangey shade with that beautiful kind of peridot like green color to it. Oh my god, it's so beautiful. So keeping this as well. Now I want to kind of compare with Giant Wolves, so let me keep that open for now. Let me not blind you guys. I'm so sorry if I am. And look, if I ever get out of frame, y'all, I can't even see my damn phone. It's up on the tripod and it's up that way. So you know what? This might be a whole shit show, and I'm not even recording. Next up is the Stone and Rock palette. Again, love the packaging, and I don't know that you're gonna be able to see it, but this is kind of like raised and it has this like kind of beautiful like iridescence to it. It's so pretty. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to keep this one. This is also like a me palette. This is also like a me palette, a Riri palette. The grunge, the, you know, earthy tones, the kind of mossy, pukey tones. I love them. And again, light to dark, something beautiful for my inner corner. Yeah, I like this one. Honestly, I feel like this is my favorite Oden's Eye palette. Just, it's gorgeous. I love this. Holding on to that one for sure. Next up is the Hala palette with Angelica or Angelica. I do like the packaging again, and I really love this one too. I'm going to compare because obviously I reach more toward these types of shades and not oftentimes those. So looking comparatively, I have greens in here, I have neutrals, I have some more pukey mossy greens, I have kind of a rich, warm, toasty type brown. All right, final answer on the Oden's Eye palettes. Decluttering Sea Talk, decluttering the Hala palette, going to keep Giant Wolves, Earthwood, and Stone and Rock. Let me count these up, get some more palettes. I'll BRB, y'all. Big pile, of course, mostly indie brands. I'm sorry, y'all. It is what it is. Okay, I guess first up, we will do these ones right here from Give Me Glow. And everything here, I believe, I purchased myself, except for the Too Faced one was gifted, and the Clarity Lost at Sea. The other Clarity I purchased myself, and the Black Moxy Cosmetics was also gifted. But I'll try to also reiterate that when I get to it. Wonderful, beautiful, heavy-duty packaging. Love the color story here. However, and they work beautifully, like high shine, glassy, beautiful, pigmented, all the things. Stunning palette, absolutely nothing wrong with it. I just have all these shades 2,000 times, you guys. And again, I'm really trying to keep my collection down to a minimalist collection. That is just my personal preference. I also live in a very small space, you guys, and I only got 2 eyes. You know what I'm saying? So that one can go. But if you're on the hunt, if you've never tried Give Me Glow, they have a phenomenal quality. Another brand that I really like their color stories as well. They don't do like the run-of-the-mill, oh, hey, here's this, this, and this with a pop of that. You know what I'm saying? So I love the formula, but I just don't need it. I have those shades over and over again, so we can declutter. Next up is the Haunted Pumpkin palette. I actually knew I wanted this the moment that it dropped, and I just kind of kept an eye on it, and then they finally did a sale and I did get it. Now this one I will keep just because, and again, it does run a little darker, not a whole lot for like the inner corner or like a lighter blending out shade, but I just, y'all, I love it. I love the color story here. Again, the mattes are insanely pigmented, as are the shimmer formulas. They last a long time on the lids. They wear well, they blend up well. Really love this color story too. And especially, I mean, obviously we're heading into the fall months. So I think I'm really gonna get some use out of that in the fall months. All right, next up is the Happily in Love. I recently did a video with this. I will make sure that I link it down below. This was gifted from Too Faced. I'm still in shock over that because I did not know they even had my damn address or knew who the hell I was, y'all. It's the Happily in Love. It is their limited edition in the tin. Love the packaging. I love everything about it. It's so freaking beautiful. It smells divine too. I did say this. I won't be long-winded because you can go and watch my video. But I did say in my video, I love that there's something for an inner corner. I love that it goes light to dark. It's got some little bit of warmth to it, some neutrality, but then it's got a little bit of cool tones in here. And just the mattes to the shimmers, they all work beautifully together. I was able to even go in and use a few of these for my blushes and highlighters. And I had not used a Too Faced palette in many years, you guys, like many years. So I'm happy to say that I was blown away. I think it really performed great, so definitely holding on to that. I think it's also going to be obviously stunning for fall and winter months. Next up is the Anastasia Beverly Hills, the Nouveau palette. I'm on the fence on this one only because it's a little light, and I feel like these shades right here, I also have in the What's Up Beauty Dragon palette. So even though I think this was a beautiful release for them, I feel like I have the exact same things, and you know, maybe in formulations I kind of prefer. Not that there's anything wrong with this at all, there's not, but again, I'm trying to be very selective. That can go. Another ABH, which is a favorite of mine, is the ABH Jackie Aina palette. This was a collaboration with them. I love this palette. This is another one though that kind of does gear a little darker and has purples and pinks, and my preferences obviously have changed. So now that I'm looking at this, as much as I love it, as much as I love that there's some depth and stuff in here, I do also have these, as we have seen in several other palettes. I think it's honestly time to let it go, you guys. I cannot believe I'm saying this. I hope I don't regret it, and I hope I don't kick myself in the ass, but I'm gonna go ahead and declutter. Next up is my very first purchase ever, and I think the only thing I have from Cleona. It is the Dragon Fruit palette with Cleona and Emily Violet Marie. I think they have since repackaged this because they kept breaking on people. I never had an issue with mine. And again, with palettes like this, there's gonna be a tendency for them to kind of shift and kind of crumble and stuff like that. I don't mind that because I know it's going to happen. And now that I'm seeing this like more chartreusey green, I'm so happy to see this because, you know, I got rid of the Lauren May one. This is an all shimmer palette. It's stunning. This shade right here is, they're all great. They're all absolutely great. I am somebody that I've wanted to purchase from them for a very long time. But their single shadows are quite pricey, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine spending money, especially for eyeshadows and special shades. But buying singles and then paying the shipping and all that kind of stuff, I was happy to see a palette. So that very long-winded way of saying I'm gonna keep it because it's great. Next up is the Suva Beauty, the Toppers palette. I am gonna go ahead and declutter this for a couple of reasons. First of all, they're no longer a brand. That makes me really, really sad. But I have these toppery type shades, these kind of iridescent, like translucent type shades that have a shift to them. We have like a pinky, a yellow, a bluey, and a green. And it's just not as impactful as my Blend Bunny Cosmetics Noctilucent palette, which is the exact same preface. Theirs just are, they're far superior to this. Not that there's anything wrong with this, but I have a preference for that. But this is gonna go. I do not need it, and I prefer the Noctilucent. All right. I think my one and only actual full-on Sigma palette. I think I have like a brow product, and I love their brow products. This is the Cinderella palette. Not gonna lie, I honestly bought this more for nostalgia purposes. Like, Cinderella is one of my all-time favorite movies. I can repeat it verbatim. Like, love that movie. But I don't need this. I have plenty of like navy blue type shades. I've got a few purples in other palettes. I've got all the neutral shades I could ever want and need, so it can also go. Next up, another one of my favorite YouTubers, aka Aelen. This was a collab with her and Spoiled Cosmetics. And I can't remember if they're now just Spoiled Cosmetics or Spoiled Lips Cosmetics, but I think they're the same thing, but it is a cool rainbow palette. She does a lot of hair videos and does beautiful makeup. And I'm gonna put this in the maybe pile for now. Again, I try to support the creators that I really like and stuff like that, so I will buy products that I'm like, hey, I just want to be supportive. I do love the concept here that there are two highlighter shades that can be inner corner shades as well. There are your neutral tones, light to dark, love that. And then every rainbow shade with a matte and a corresponding like duochrome type shade. Love the concept of that for sure. I am gonna note, and this is me being picky, you guys know this, it's me being picky because I'm an indie brand fanatic and I love special shades. These leave a little bit to be desired. They're not like the most punchy, not that they have to be, but I'm gonna kind of see what I have in the spectrum of like rainbow palettes because I don't use these that often. So this is maybe for now, but I'm gearing towards decluttering. Next up is the Profusion Sun Kissed palette. I was gifted this by my beautiful friend Deb over at Debutone. And just because I feel like I would only kind of reach towards maybe this row right here, I feel like I can go ahead and let it go. It's still got a lot of love left to give. I also, you know, I don't do glitters, so I'll go ahead and pass that one along as well. Next up, I bought this secondhand from a friend. It is the Urban Decay. I already forgot what the heck it's called. I don't actually know. But I like the concept of this because it just kind of slides out. I know I'm blinding out with the light. I am very sorry. And I love that, I mean, they were ahead of their time back in the day. Like, where the hell is old school Urban Decay at? I'm just saying, like, they were the shit back in the day. I love that this side is beautiful, kind of purpley and just colorful shades. And over here you have a lot of neutral leaning shades. Let me swatch a couple. I'm trying to not blind you guys. Yeah, I feel like, oh, I love it. I love the concept, love the packaging and everything, but I know that I already have all of these shades over and over and over again, so I am also shockingly going to declutter this one as well. Next up, this is another one that was gifted. This is the Alter Ego Mirage palette, and this is supposed to be a dupe, I believe, for the Huda Empowered palette, which I do also have. So if y'all want to see a comparison, I guess let me know. But this works and performs beautifully. Like, the concept for them, and I know a lot of people don't like dupes or whatever, but the concept for them is to kind of make more affordable, you know, everyday like high-end type palettes and make dupes that other people can obviously afford. So I really, really like this. I do at least want to do the comparison to this, so I think I'm going to hold on to this at least for now. Next, I think I'll go into all of my Clarity palettes. Again, I purchased all of these except for Lost at Sea. First up is the Komodo? I hope I'm saying that right, you guys. Komodo palette. And as soon as I saw her sneak peeks for this, I was like, yep, I'm getting that. And when it launched, I got it. And this is another one that I say this and have said this quite a few times. I don't often reach for like these tones all the time, but there's something beautiful about them. There's almost, I don't know, like a vintage wash to these. I don't know how to explain it. Like, there's a little bit of depth here, but they're not pastels. They're not super dark. They're not jeweled. There's something, I don't know the right word that I'm trying to think of. They're more of like, a blushed version of their shades. I know I'm not making any damn sense, you guys. I cannot think of the actual word that I'm kind of looking for, but it's like a diffused watercolor variation of these. That's the best way I can describe it. And I love that all of these shimmers go with the mattes, and y'all, my gosh, they do shimmers impeccably well. I mean, their mattes though, they give and they give and they give and they give. So I'm keeping this, even though it is not a kind of standard, if you will, Riri palette. There's something magical about this palette, y'all. I don't even care. I'm keeping it. I love it. I think I still have a code with them. It's Riri10. If I do still have it, it is affiliated, but I don't remember. So I'm keeping that one, and I'm sorry that I don't remember, you guys. And in saying that, it's not that I don't remember, because like I just don't know or don't remember, but they redid all their stuff, so I don't know if I still have a code. Let me grab another wipe. I like this, you guys. I like just sitting and chilling and just talking to y'all and having fun. And I love that you guys wanted to see a super long marathon style video. Like, y'all know I hate short form content. I like to be able to be personable and talk and just kind of, you know, shoot the shit with y'all. I love that. I love that. Long form, I'm sorry, long form is where it's at, period. Okay, next up, again, gifted, the Clarity Cosmetics Lost at Sea palette. Love the packaging. It's so incredibly beautiful. I know they got some shit when they first sneaked this because it has like similar pan shape to Odin's Eye. Here's the thing with that, and I'm just gonna get on my little soapbox for 2 seconds, so if you don't wanna hear my spiel, fast forward about 30 seconds. Every brand, you guys, has access to the exact same blanks, which is this, or templates for palettes. So a million other brands could be using this exact same thing. Odin's Eye did not come out with this specific thing, not to my knowledge, because if they did, they would have bought the blanks and then Clarity could have never used the packaging. So I don't know why people shit on brands when something looks kind of similar. You can only do so many shapes and sizes and colors and packaging variations. Off my soapbox. Another one that I'm keeping, it's exquisitely done. I like, again, that it has a little bit of lightness to blend things out, like this, and this is a full-on look. Very easy to do, very beginner friendly. Love the flip in here. There are some super special shades in here, like this, and this. I would pair together, like, hello, you guys, that is like glass. I mean, it just goes and goes. I mean, look, them little fake ass swatches that Natasha Denona be putting on her damn Instagram and shit, y'all, look, that's, come on now. Indie Brands is where it's at, y'all. I'm telling you. I love this palette. So grateful to have it. Keeping for sure. Now I have an 8 Mile swatch on my arm. Oh no. And just the sparkle there. It's, oh, they're so beautiful. I love Indie Brands, you guys. I like that they don't do the everyday, so to speak. Next up from Clarity is the Safari palette. Again, I purchased this myself, and I love cute little 9-pen palettes. I'm gonna go ahead and say I love this. Again, I would pair very specific ones with very specific ones in here because this is along that same line of I don't really feel like this is a standalone palette. For that reason alone, you guys, I'm gonna declutter. But again, like, I mean, the formula, you guys, exquisite, exquisite. And I've tried thousands and thousands and thousands of palettes. So love, but I do not need. Next up is the Chocolate Seduction palette. And this I love. And I also think I am going to keep this, even though we've had this discussion. I hate the glitter. I wish brands would stop doing that. But it's got, you know, a little bit of depth here, and then every kind of more neutral leaning type of shimmer that I could ever ask for. So I'm gonna hold on to it. It smells good as hell too, y'all, so, you know. Next up from Clarity is the Evil Mermaid palette. Now this I do wanna compare to the Komodo one because, again, I'm trying to keep what I'm gonna know, love, use up, get some great use out of, and I don't oftentimes reach for those types of shades. And actually, now that I'm looking at them, there is pretty much no, they're not the same at all. I just don't know if I'm gonna get the use out of this that I would want to get out of having a palette. Oh, they're so pretty. Okay, I don't feel like I need this. So I am gonna go ahead and declutter. Again, nothing wrong with it at all. Nothing wrong with the quality. I'm trying to be as cutthroat as I can be, you guys. Again, I live with a very minimalistic approach to everything in my life. This is the Beauty Bay Earthy palette. And I feel like I can go ahead and let this go. I've kept quite a few green leaning palettes. I know I still have quite a few, and a few of them are like top tier in my opinion. And Cosmic Brushes just launched, or will be launching. It's not the launch at the time I'm filming, but they just announced a Illaage for their Regrowth, I think, palette. So I think I want to get that so I can go ahead and declutter this. Next up, this also was gifted. This is the Black Moxy Cosmetics Trippy Shroom palette. And I think I still have a discount code with them as well. I think it should be Honest Beauty 15 for 15%. Let me think. See, these types of palettes, you guys, they have super special, unique, great shades in them. And obviously, I mean, I'm getting dense in some of these, but then it's kind of like I do one matte and then do a shimmer, and it's not like always cohesive, I guess. Oh, I don't know. And I have a ton of her single shadows as well. I feel like I can go ahead and declutter this one as well, solely because, like I said, I'm not gonna always reach for it, but it is beautiful and I really do love her quality. Next up is the Ofra, the Mini Mix palette in the Color Story Unconditional, and is a collaboration with Hot Mess Mama. And I did get this in my IPSY Glam bag. I really do like this. I love the concept. It is kind of more my tones. There's something for the inner corner, blush, bronzer, and highlight. I think this would be phenomenal for travel as well. So I am gonna hold on to that one. And then last up in this pile is the Empress Me and Doodles by the Bunny, the Colors of the World. And that is what the unit carton, and that's what the packaging looks like. And I love the concept here of having the puzzle pieces. And this rainbow palette now is going to make me pull out the AKA Aelen one, just for comparative purposes. I feel like there's a little bit more depth and stuff here. Even though these are multi or like more duochromes and these are not, I feel like I have a preference for this one. So I think I am going to declutter the AKA Aelen one. Again, nothing wrong with it. I love her a lot. That's why I purchased the damn palette. But I just think I'll get more use out of this one, and I don't reach for rainbow or colorful palettes all the time. Let me count up this round. I'll BRB, y'all. All right, next up, these are high-end / larger palettes, and then I kind of threw all the glam light together. I don't even know where to start, y'all, because holy shit. Anyways, I guess it's right here. This is brand new to my collection. It was half price on Sephora, and I've wanted it since it launched. The Empowered palette from Huda Beauty. I really like the packaging. It feels nice and heavy, nice in the looks. This is the one that is the dupe for the Alter Ego is the dupe for this one. I am not gonna swatch it or anything yet. I really like the color story of this, so I'm gonna hold on to this for now. Next up, another newer palette to my collection and my first purchase from Dei Signature. This is the Chrome Book, Volume 1. Again, we've already had the discussion that I love all shimmer palettes. And I feel like even some of the couple that I'm gonna get rid of from Gourmand Girls and kind of donate or pass along, I feel like I have those same tones in there, and this is another formula. Some of these are a little bit more squishy, so again, you know, err on the side of caution a little bit, but I love that there's some neutrally tones, there's pinks and purples, there's greens and blues. So I like that I can literally do, like I said, my signature look where I pick 3 corresponding shimmers and literally just toss them on my face, y'all. Or I can do a matte and then throw one of these on, and it's easy yet impactful, beautiful. I'm really excited to try more from the brand, so definitely holding on to that. And in this collection, nothing here is PR. Let me double check. Nope, nope. This was PR technically because it was in my Chica Beauty box and that was gifted, and everything else I have purchased. So just noting that as well. All right, next up, one of my all-time favorites, even though it's kind of bulky and kind of cumbersome and it's heavy as hell. However, I've already used it twice on my niece, on my sister, used it for a recent bride. It's phenomenal, but it is the P. Louise, a brand new chapter. And I think I got colorway 2. I hope I'm saying that right. But the concept here is fantastic, you guys. This literally is a makeup lover's dream, in my opinion. Sorry, I'm going to be blinding you for just a second. But we have a beautiful kind of more warm tone leaning eyeshadow palette. And again, I like that there's some depth here. I like that we can go light to dark. I like the shimmer. No! All right, sorry y'all, I think my phone's about to die. Let me talk about this one and I'll charge my phone for a few minutes, but I also like the shimmer to matte variation here. It's super beautiful. I love the concept here. I just stuck my freaking nail in there. It has a blush palette going light to dark. It has a bronzer contour-y type palette going light to dark, and also a highlighter palette, again, going light to dark. Yeah, it's heavy as hell, but if you are a working makeup artist or you like kind of specify in like bridal makeups or whatever, I think this is phenomenal, you guys. So holding on to this, let's charge, let's reset, I'll BRB. All right, we are on the charger. Let's give it a few minutes. It's daytime, you guys, so I think we'll still be okay. I am sorry. Next up, I think I'll just go into the couple Ace Beauty palettes that I do have. This is the Mystic Romance. I feel like I've kept enough that is kind of in this color story. I have the kind of the same things in the P. Louise and the Hoodie Booty, the Hoodie Booty, y'all. That's her new name. The Huda Beauty Empowered palette, so I can go ahead and declutter this one. Next up is the Ace Beauty, the Palette palette. This came in my Chica Beauty box. And I love this. I like that it's rainbow, but not traditional red, orange, green, blue. There's a variation in tones here, and I love this row. Love this row. Really the only row that I'm not probably gonna get a whole lot of use out of is this one right here, but their formula is fantastic, you guys. Mattes and the shimmers. These are not like the most out of this world, you know, these are not like the most out of this world, most unique, crazy shimmers, but they do perform well and they do last a long time on my lids, which y'all know is important, so keeping that one. Back over here to P. Louise. This is the Money Shot palette. Again, y'all, it's massive. I love P. Louise as far as they are one of the most inclusive brands, like as far as like the brands and stuff that I follow in particular. Incredibly inclusive, super conceptual, super unique. They're just bulky as hell, you guys. So it does have the drawer that kind of pulls out from the bottom. And I love this. I still have not even gotten to swatch this or use it, and I've had it for some time now. I just don't reach for it because it is so big, because it is so bulky, and it's hard for me to kind of hold. Again, the packaging, the color story, the layout, everything about it is beautiful, y'all. It's just too damn big. So I am going to declutter. And then next up is this one right here. This is the Aligning My Future, also from P. Louise. Again, love the concept, love the packaging and stuff like that. Like the lock actually works on here. Let me take it off and show you. Like the locket and stuff actually works. It's fully functioning. It lights up. It's beautiful. It is absolutely stunning, you guys. And it looks like a really beautiful book. Again, the packaging it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. It's just fucking bulky. This side has like yellowy, peachy, orangey going into like really pretty softer like pinks, like cool tone pinks and stuff like that. And then with most of her stuff, it is dual-sided. And then this side's more like greens, purpley, bluey. I just think it's too bulky for me, you guys, and I don't oftentimes reach for like more pastel-y shades and stuff like that. I might put this in the maybe pile just because I want to see what I still have, because I do have quite a bit to go. But the packaging, it's big. It's just big, y'all. But I mean, gorgeous, stunning. I'd love to know if you've tried P. Louise and how do you feel about it? Do you also think that their stuff's a little bit too cumbersome and too bulky? Let me know. Next up is this little Pat McGrath Celestial Nirvana eyeshadow palette, the Bronze Bliss. And I think I'm gonna hold on to this just because the shimmer formula in here is really, really beautiful. Even though, as you can see, this one's kind of like putty-like and kind of moving around some. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, I feel like the one that I kept from KLARITY is kind of the same, you know, deal where it's got like a neutral and then pops up all the shimmers. I think I'm gonna go ahead and declutter it, y'all. Look, I'm proud of myself, y'all. I'm doing a good freaking job. Now, hopefully I don't, you know, regret any of these decisions. I don't think I will, but hopefully I don't. Next up is also Pat McGrath Labs. This was like a limited edition, I think it was like the Bridgerton collection, possibly. I could be wrong. And this, I love the packaging, so pretty. It's a little bit cumbersome, but really beautiful. And then I like the concept here, kind of like that Ofra palette that I kept, where you have, you know, products to do your face and your eyes. I like the blushes. Her blushes are really beautiful. There's like a soft, sheeny quality to these, kind of like a lit from within quality. I like the shade variation as far as the eyeshadows, so I will hold on to this one. Next up, speaking of cosmic brushes, like I was talking about earlier, I do have two palettes from them, Muse and the Serenity palettes. These are literally like 20 bucks, you guys. I like, again, that they break it up a little bit. It's not like your classic, just kind of traditional, standard, boring palette, if you will. There's a little bit of just variation, a little bit of mossy greeniness in here. There are a little bit of pinks and purples. Again, I don't often reach for those, even though I do love them and I think they look beautiful on me. I just have a preference for the other. I do like, again, that there's neutrality. It goes light to dark. And y'all, for the quality of these palettes, I cannot believe the price point. They are incredible. Definitely holding on to that. Next up, the Serenity, I feel like is an incredible kind of companion palette to that one. And it's beautiful. Again, not oftentimes something that I'm gonna reach to, but I have pretty much gotten rid of everything else kind of in that color family. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep this one as well. Next up, I have this cute little palette from Moira Cosmetics. This is the Time to Shine palette. And I think I have enough where I have some greens and like more neutrally shades and stuff like that. I have enough palettes that are kind of in this kind of color family, so I'm going to declutter this as well. That Nomad is not supposed to be there because I have all my Nomad together, so I apologize about that. Next up is the Blend Bunny Cosmetics, the Surge palette. Their Noctilucent palette is one of my all-time favorite palettes ever, like of all time. And this is the same. I love this. Again, a little kind of more dark leaning, if you will, but I do like the fact that there are pastels. Then it goes a little bit darker, a little bit darker. You have all of your corresponding shimmers and all of your corresponding neons. Incredibly pigmented, and they blend so beautifully, you guys. They layer well, they wear well on the lids, keeping for sure. Next up is the Cyborg Choir palette from Adept Cosmetics. Love the packaging, like the ombre detailing here. I'm keeping this because I paid a lot for this damn palette, you guys. No affiliation, no nothing. And if you have a code or you know somebody that has a code for some of these brands, feel free to drop it. Not unless, you know, unless I have a code with them. I think that would be rude. But if you have a code with Adept, definitely drop it. Their mattes are just okay. They are not the most pigmented, and I was slightly disappointed in the palette for that particular reason. However, y'all know I am a sucker, I've said it a million times, for special shades, and this delivers 1000% in this spectrum of special shades. Now these shades, they're incredible. They're so intense, so freaking beautiful. The flips and the shifts in them are like very visible. I mean, these I love. I do think they need to do some work on their matte formulation. The mattes just are not my favorite, but I am going to keep it because as a whole, I really do enjoy the palette. I am making a mess. Give me 1 second to collect myself, y'all. All right, y'all. Unfortunately, I'm going to still have to keep this charging, and I still cannot use my flash. I'm really sorry. I use my phone to film, just FYI. We'll go here. Next up is my Huda Beauty, I keep saying that, Huda Beauty Naughty palette. Wow, say that 3 times fast. Love the packaging. They're one of my favorite brands, I will note that. I really love this palette. I hate this right here. I'm a very sensory type of person, so I don't like that part, but everything else in here I think is really stunning. I think they do a good job with both their matte and shimmer formulations, so I am going to hold on to this, at least for a little while longer. I feel like if I think the Empowered palette is super similar to that, I may get rid of it. Next up is the Natasha Denona, the My Dream palette. Again, I like the packaging and stuff like that. I like that you can remove these quite easily. And I really like this as well. Kind of now that I'm seeing that compared to this, let me see. The only thing I don't like about this is this pan right here. Hopefully you can see it. Is already like hard pan, and it's kind of hard to work with. That kind of pisses me off, especially when you're spending that much. But everything else in here I feel like works okay. I am now gonna compare these two together though, because honestly, I don't feel like I need both. All right, let me see. I don't actually feel like these are super similar at all. Let me check the Empowered palette. Sorry, you guys. I do also just want to reiterate again, you guys, there's nothing wrong with any of these palettes. Nothing that I'm decluttering is horrible, is bad quality, or anything like that. I just how many of the same color story does a person need? You know what I'm saying? I feel like I still want to keep this one, even though I am pissed off about that shade. I do like her formula overall. So I think, even though I have not even tried this yet, I'm keeping Empowered still for sure. I can declutter the Naughty Nude palette. And I'm also gonna keep for now My Dream palette. Natasha Denona, honey. My dream would be that shade not be doing that when I spent that much money on a damn palette. Okay. And also like higher end stuff like this, y'all know I'm a cheap hoe and I do not pay full price for anything. I get discount codes, points, whatever. I typically shop for my luxury high end type stuff when Sephora does their sale or holiday time when the actual brand does their sales. Next up is the Natasha Denona, the Yucca palette. Hopefully I'm saying that right and it's not Yucca. I do apologize. Love the freaking packaging. Love, again, that they come out and are removable. And based on this, y'all probably know that I'm gonna keep this because it's beautiful. This was gifted by my beautiful friend Clara. Thank you so much, Clara. I love you. And I love this palette so effing much, you guys. Grungy greens, the neutrals, the all of it. The all of it. It's just beautiful. I love it. So I'm keeping it, not getting rid of it. Next up is the very first full-on luxury palette that I ever purchased, and I did it with a Sephora sale during the holiday time, and I had $10 off. It is the most expensive palette I've ever purchased, aside from the brand new Danessa Myricks one that I think you guys will see before this, so hopefully I love that. If not, I'm gonna kick myself in the ass. Anyways, Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. This was a limited edition and no longer available. It does have the sleeve with the shades. It does have a mirror. It closes and is magnetic so that it kind of stays closed. It does fold all the way back, which I also love. And I have used this and used this and used this, but I think it's time to go. I've had it for long enough. I have definitely kind of come to new preferences, if you will, as far as like shimmer type formulas. And not that there's anything in the world wrong with a basic, in quotes, you know, shimmer formula, but I just have a preference now, you know, for more sparkly and multi-chromes and duochromes and special shades. And I know that's not everybody's preference, and that's totally fine. Do what makes you feel like the best version of yourself. But I think it's time to let her go, you guys. I am going to declutter. Y'all, I'm a mess. I'm a mess. My table's a mess. All of these damn palettes are a mess. And just noting too, I do have a resale group that anything that I do in my declutters will go in that resale group. That is how I make my money to fund my channel. And that is always going to be linked down below, and everything does get thoroughly sanitized, noting that too. All right, last up in this pile is my Glamlight Collectione. It's not much of a collection, but I will go through these quickly if I can get this open for y'all. All right, this is the Scooby-Doo Creeps and Crawls. I kind of got this for nostalgic purposes. Scooby-Doo is something that's super special to me and to my son, but like I said, I need to stop doing that. This is another one of those that I hardly ever use blues, I hardly ever use purples, and it's just depth. It's literally just dark. There's not a whole lot I can do with this, but I will say I am a really, really big fan of Glamlight's formula. I think that they knock it out of the park, the mattes and the shimmers, but I do not need it. I am going to go ahead and declutter. Next up, earlier when I was talking about a green leaning palette that I had a preference for, this is one of my favorite green leaning palettes of all time, the Glamlight Dirty Martini. I like that it's small and compact, and I love this palette so much. I love that it's not like traditional green. There's some more blue-based greens. There's a little bit more brown-based greens. There's some of those kind of pukey, earthy, grungy greens that I talk about that I really love. I like the blend to the mattes and to the shimmer formula. I love this palette, you guys. Love. Like, I feel like they nailed this color freaking story. Beautiful. Keeping. And then last but not least in this pile, oh my gosh, am I getting tired, you guys. This is also a Scooby-Doo palette from Glamlight. It does have a really cool lenticular scene on it. Something that I think is super dope. And this is another one that I really love the layout and the color story here, because I feel like you can go in and do this row right here, kind of orangey reddy. You go down here to like your blues and purples. I do like that there's a little bit of like grunginess here. I like the like matte to the shimmer ratio in here. Again, the formula is great, and I have not kept a whole lot that are more colorful leaning, if you will. So I think I am going to hold on to this one as well. Let me count up what we're decluttering and what we're keeping from this pile, and I'll BRB, y'all. Look, go get a drink. Everybody, let's go get a drink, okay? And then hopefully I'll have the flash on when I come back. All right, BRB. And last but not least, in our marathon palette declutter is Nomad Cosmetics. Every single palette here was gifted except for the Haunted Europe. I purchased this myself. The Harajuku palette I purchased myself. And the Shanghai palette. So all three of these I did purchase myself. Everything else was gifted from Nomad Cosmetics. I have a non-affiliated code, Ruby10, for 10% off. This is another brand that I'm going to be doing a palette ranking, so I'm not going to be very long-winded. I would just kind of show you guys everything, maybe swatch a couple of the more special shades, but I definitely want to save that for my ranking video. First up, I think I'll go ahead and go into the Nomad Air. These are their travel palettes collection, and these are obviously perfect for travel, and Nomad Cosmetics is one of my all-time favorite brands. I've loved them even before I ever got on their PR list or anything like that. I love them conceptually. I love the idea of being nomadic and then taking all of your adventures and putting them into your collections. I love the thoughtfulness. I love that they give back, that they donate. I love the color stories, the packaging, the attention to detail, even the insides of the unit cartons. There's detail. Love. So we have this one right here that is the more kind of warm leaning one, and I love these. I know that a lot of people were not like the biggest fans of these, and I know a lot of people want more of like the bells and whistles and stuff like that, and I do also love that, obviously, but I also really just want to have a small compact palette that could be good for light, medium, or deep skin tones. I can take it with me, toss it in my handbag, and it's literally beginner friendly. I throw on a mat, throw one of these on the crease, and I'm done, and I have a look. And obviously I'm not getting rid of any of these. Next up in the collection here, we have the more kind of grayish or like taupey leaning palette. Again, really, really beautiful. Love the concept here. Their mattes and their shimmers for me are really, really stunning. Gonna hold on to that as well. Next up, we have the more kind of like greeny leaning palette. We have one of my all-time favorite palettes, not just from Nomad Cosmetics, but just ever. This was their original, the Travel palette. And I have used this so much. I've used it on my niece and my sister, who are both beautiful women of color, and I use it on myself. I can use it when I'm more light and also during the summer when I'm super tan. I love the color variation here. Next up is their latest release. This is the Fuji 5 Lakes. I've done a couple of looks with this one, and this one holds a special place in my heart for a few reasons. First of all, again, the attention to detail. This is raised. It looks like a beautiful piece of art. And like I was saying earlier, even the inside, the unit carton itself also has detail to it. Love. And again, I love that they take all of these different beautiful experiences and they put them into their palettes. I love this palette. I will also note that my stepdad is Japanese American, and it just holds a super special place in my heart. I love the color story here. It performs well. I really love their formula overall. The one and only palette I ever had an issue with is this one right here, so I'll go ahead and get this one out of the way. This is the Verona, the Amore y Morte. I actually recently did a look with this palette as well for a Throwback Thursday with my beautiful friend Heather. I will definitely link her below. But it is a dual-sided palette to represent love and death. We have the love side here, pinks and reds, and then we have our death side here, a little bit more cool tone, a little bit more grungy. My only gripe with this is, and I don't know if I just got a dud or what, but I did have a different one of these, and it was a little bit worse than what this one is. They were generous enough, even though they sent this in PR, when I did kind of say, hey, you know, some of the shimmers were not working for me. I think they may have had a bad batch, and they're like, hey, if you love the palette that much, which I do, then we'll resend it. The shimmers in here, some of them, like this one's fine, this one's fine, this one's incredibly hard in the pan and kind of takes some like work. A couple of the shimmer formulas, they were just a little bit lackluster and very, very hard pressed in the pan. Aside from that though, again, I love the layouts, I love the color stories and stuff like that, and other than this particular palette, I've never had issues with any of their other palettes. I also have the Nomad Hudson Valley palette. I do pretty much feature this every year in my top fall palettes because it is quintessential fall. It is stunning. And I love that they didn't just go with the reds and the rusts and stuff like that. Like they pulled over a little bit of coolness over here as well. Just, it's beautiful. It's really, really stunning. And I love the fact that not a lot of brands, not that I have seen, truly do a deep, dark, true red, like a true primary red, and they nailed it. The formulation here is stunning. Definitely holding on to that one too. Obviously, I'm holding on to all of them. Don't know why I'm saying that. Next up is another favorite. This is the New Zealand Stargazing palette. I guess I could have opened these before I started. Sorry, you guys. Again, love the packaging. Again, the detail with everything. Their shade names, the selections, the imprints, the packaging, the fact that they give back. They're cruelty-free. Y'all, I love them so much. And they do not release like every 5 seconds, which Nomad, thank you, honey, because we can actually take the time to enjoy things. I love this palette. There are some beautiful, exquisite shades in here. And unlike some of the other ones that I have that were leaning more jewel toned or had more like purples, blues and stuff like that in there, this does have that, but there are also some lighter, more blending out shades. There's still something for the inner corner. And y'all, oh my gosh, these freaking duochromes, they are like literal glass. They are perfection. They are exquisite. I mean, I'm sorry, that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I mean, you guys know already that indie brands have my heart and soul. I had tried some Nomad stuff actually at IPSY glam bags, and then I bought a couple of quads and some highlighters back in the day, and I swear by them. They are a phenomenal brand. One of my all-around favorite brands. They nail it. They do it well, y'all. Next up is the Nomad, the Royal Europe palette. And this one, again, you can see the actual jewels kind of die cut in here, and there are multiple layers there. It's that attention to detail I just love. And this was super special for them. I think that I'm right in saying this, but I'm pretty sure it was the first time that they ever went with a more multi or duochrome type formulation. And I love that there is, again, a little bit of neutrality. And yes, there's jewel tones here, but there is still a little bit of lightness in here. So I feel like I may pull something else in here, but I do also feel like it can be a beautiful standalone palette. And you can see there's a couple of indentations in here in some of these shades. These can be a little bit finicky, so you have to be a little bit careful so that they won't break. But again, just incredible, incredible quality. Their matte formulation is one of my favorites. I just think they nail it, you guys. They do it well 99% of the time. Super, super beautiful. Definitely a standout in my collection. Next up is the Ghost Town USA, and I kind of want to showcase it with this one, the Haunted Europe palette. This was a re-release for them. We'll get into that. This is the Ghost Town USA palette. And of course, you know, we're sneaking into spooky season, which is my favorite time of the motherfreaking year. And I like the shape and the size of these too. And again, they're really, really well made. That attention to detail, which I really, really love. But it has that beautiful, really cool lenticular scene. You know, by day, everything's calm and cool. And then at nighttime, it kind of transforms. And I like that they did this as more of a kind of neutrally leaning a little bit more warm on this side, and then neutrals leaning a little bit more cool over here. These are kind of your dusky, dark, grungy, smoky shades. Like, again, the way that they lay things out, their shade names and stuff like that. I just think they do their palettes well. I'll keep this open. And they re-released, thank goodness, because I missed out on this. They re-released the Haunted Europe. I just got this. And I paid for this myself. Again, it has a really cool lenticular design, the same shape and kind of layout as this one is. And then I like that this one is kind of the colorful version of this one right here. Let me kind of put them up together. You can see that these are like beautiful companion palettes. You could definitely go into both of these. This one goes a little bit lighter and then offers a little bit more of kind of having the golds and the oranges. I think together collectively, they're a beautiful little duo. So really excited to have both of these, and I'm happy to have this. Like that packaging, come on now. Next up is the Ireland Wild Atlantic Way palette. And again, I like that they kind of keep everything pretty streamlined. Like most of the stuff is going to be either in this style and size or this one right here, aside from their minis. Love, again, the attention to detail. Has a beautiful kind of like felt on here. And then there are actually the little lucky clovers in there, which I think is super cool. This is another one, I'm not gonna do too many spoilers here. This is another one that is very nostalgic, very beautiful, very special. I am part Irish, and I've always wanted to go to Ireland. It is on my bucket list. I pray, hope, I'm putting it all out into the universe that I get to go one day. Again, beautifully laid out. I love the color story, the attention to detail here, and I like that they didn't just say, oh, Ireland, let me just go green. They really pulled from the environment that they were in upon their travels and stuff like that, and they pulled all of those colors in. I love this palette so much, you guys. Next up, a super fun one and a little bit more kind of newer for them was the NOMAD, the Keys Beachy and Peachy. And I don't know why I'm saying NOMAD, because they're all NOMAD. Sorry, y'all. And this kind of has that same kind of similar layout to the one we just showcased. And again, the attention to detail, I love. This one right here is just the quintessential kind of springy, summery palette. And again, I like that it's rainbow-esque, but there's different tonality here. There's a different variation. Like we have the peach and then a little bit darker, and then two more orangey shades you can kind of pop that with. You've got the different variations of yellows. I love this palette, and this is not something that I always kind of reach towards, but I think it is so well done that it is a standout in my collection, and I do love it. Next up, I purchased this one myself. This is the Harajuku palette, and this is another one that I don't think is available anymore. And now that I'm looking at this, and this is more pastelized, and I think I kind of have a preference for these tones, I am going to declutter that P. Louise, the Aligning My Light palette. And I like here too, and I like that concept with a lot of brands where the shimmer formulas kind of correspond to everything else. I like too that this middle row here, they're more of like satins. I don't really have an extra finger, but I'll do this one. But they're more of like a satin-esque quality to them. Like there's a little bit of a sheeny quality to them. I really like this. I think it's super cute. Not something I'm gonna reach to all the time, but because I do, you know, have darker leaning palettes, I do like to have something I can blend things out with. Next up, this one I also did. They, unfortunately, and I'm really gonna be very short and sweet about this one, they did end up pulling this one, which I also commend them on that. This was the Shanghai palette. That was one of the first ones that they did that kind of had a duality to it, and we kind of had the play on like the dark with the light and then the shimmers with the other. I love this palette. I loved the concept here, but they did pull it, so I'm just gonna kind of put that to the side and not talk about it too much. And then last but not least, you guys, holy freaking crap, thank you for being here. You deserve 2 snacks. You deserve 2 drinks. This is the Okavango Safari palette. Again, the attention to detail. It actually feels like some type of a fur. It's like a really pretty felt. I love this as well. And this is another one that, even though it's more neutral leaning, it's a variation on neutral. There's a little bit of coolness here. It does not go super light to super dark. I don't always need that. It is my preference, but I think they do palettes and color stories very well, you guys. Obviously, none of these are getting decluttered, so I'm gonna count up everything from all the different sections. I will let you know our totals. Total I'm keeping, total I'm decluttering. Put your guesses up now. BRB, y'all. All right, beauties, I kept a total of 71. I decluttered a total of 43. That was a total of 114. So we kept 71 and decluttered 43. I kind of like to do it by half, but I'm happy with the selection. And then obviously through like Gourmand Girls and Nomad Cosmetics, I like to keep those for showcasing and stuff like that. And I mean, they are some of my favorite brands. So those are our totals. We started with 114. I now have 71. How do you think I did? What are your favorite palettes? What are your favorite brands? I'd love to know. If you do have discount codes for brands and stuff like that, specifically indie brands, y'all know they have my heart and soul. Comment them down below. If you are curious about my nails, they are the Kiss Impress in the FX line. Typically, that is what you are seeing me wear. I will link these down below, as well as any brand discount codes that I have. Thank y'all so much for joining me. I hope you'll consider subscribing and give the video a thumbs up if you did enjoy. I'd love to have you be part of my beauty family here on YouTube. Don't forget I have that second channel, Darissa Explains It All, where you get to see a more candid version of myself. Thank y'all. I love y'all. Stay happy, healthy, and safe. Thank you to my beautiful channel members. Bye, beauties.